Hello and welcome to Prudent Media. My name is Sachin Chatte and on this program we take a look at all the latest releases. This week we will take a look at Ajay Devgan's Bholaa and of course the Hollywood release as well, Dungeons and Dragons. But first, let's take a look at Bholaa. A remake of the Tamil film Kaiti, which was made in 2019 by Lokesh Kanagaraj, Bholaa is a bit of a mess. It is positioned as an out-and-out action film, but action with CGI that looks completely unreal has little or no meaning. Add to it the structure and editing of the film. At times you wonder about what is happening and why. Take for instance, in the middle of a fight sequence, it cuts to a girl in an orphanage waiting for a visitor with some melancholic music playing in the background. Considering that a sequel is planned, much like the Tamil film, whether this film went through changes is anybody's guess, but it does appear to be a disjointed film. It is also a movie where the body count is excessively high. As he walks out of jail in slow motion, Makarand Deshpande gives an introduction of Bholaa, which is played by Ajay Devgan, to the inmates and the audience also. He is a tufan and all that we are told. Meanwhile, in Uttar Pradesh, there is 1,000 crores worth of cocaine that has been seized by a top cop named Dinah, played by Tabu, in one of her most indifferent performances, but more on that later. She has smartly hidden the consignment in a bunker under the police station that was built during British era. In the same antique police station, a state-of-the-art gun that can kill at least one person per second pops up in the climax. The bad guys on the scene are led by Ashu, played by Deepak Dobriyal, who will stop at nothing to recover that consignment. There were possibly many other ways to do it, but they chose the most difficult one. Ashwadama, also known as Ashu, himself does so much cocaine that he reminds you of Cocaine Bear. There are 40-odd cops celebrating the career and retirement of a senior police officer, and they are at a place where the nearest hospital is 80 kilometers away. Try and make sense of that if you can. A medical situation arises and Lady Police Dinah, along with the caterer for the event and Bholaa of course in the driver's seat of a well-lit truck, take the unconscious cops to the faraway hospital. But since only the lady cop knows of the exact location of the drug consignment, she becomes the target of the enemy and the trio is attacked by men on bikes, men in jeeps, excessively oiled men in boxers, referred to as a Kacha gang, but with Bholaa around, there is nothing to fear. Single-handedly, he demolishes all of them, and with Shivji's trident, he impales several of them in different parts of the anatomy, and it is not a very pretty sight. A man's teeth also fall out in slow motion, tooth by tooth. The film gets into Mad Max Fury Road zone at one point, and there is a John Wick kind of an open contract as well. The action, much like what we saw in Pathan, is very pedestrian. There are grand ideas executed with very little conviction. There are a couple of parallel tracks that run through the film. One is the police station that is deserted except for a newly joined constable played by Sanjay Mishra, who along with a group of detained youngsters are trying to defend it. There is also a yawn-inducing chatter that constantly happens between them. The other track is that of a young girl in the orphanage desperately waiting for the visitor who also happens to be her father. Gajaraj Rao with an accent makes an appearance at the beginning and towards the end of the film. What was his preoccupation during a large part of the film is very unclear, but then there are many other things that are also unclear that may be answered in the sequel, but I am not particularly eager to know that. Deepak Dobriyal starts off by being a bit over the top, but eventually settles down. Tabu is usually spot on, but this is a lackluster performance. Perhaps even she couldn't draw any inspiration from a character or from the proceedings. Ajay Devgan as the actor is sincere as always, but as a director, he falls for the trappings. And next time, can we please have some genuine action rather than those CGI stunts? That will be more fun. I'm going to go with 2 out of 5 stars for Ajay Devgan's directorial and acting venture called Bholaa. The other release of this week is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. I have always been fairly wary of films based on video games or board games. More often than not, they don't translate all that well on the big screen. But to my pleasant surprise, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves turned out to be an entertaining adaptation for the big screen. One of the most popular tabletop games which not many may have played in this part of the world, including yours truly, there have been previous adaptations of the game in the form of a trilogy which was made between 2000 and 2012, and that was eminently forgettable. Fortunately, this film, which was in development for a very long time, has nothing to do with the previous trilogy. Directed by the duo of Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, the objective is to deliver a good old-fashioned entertainer and combine it with the latest VFX. So having known nothing about the game or any memory of what happened in the trilogy, Honor Among Thieves is easy to dive into, even though there are a lot of fantasy and sorcery elements that are involved. So there are two thieves, Ed, played by Chris Pine, and his friend Holga, played by Michelle Rodriguez. Now they are serving jail time for trying to steal this totem known as the Tablet of Reawakening, along with their sorcerer friend Simon, played by Justice Smith, and a con man known as Forge, played by Hugh Grant. They are due for a pardon because they are in jail, and in the process of arguing the case, we come to know about Ed's daughter Kira, his late wife, and his heist escapades with Holga. When they eventually get out of prison, Ed discovers that Kira has an unexpected impression of him because of Uncle Forge. If you're wondering where the heist and thrill is, it comes soon as Ed and Holga, along with Simon and their recruits, take on some sinister forces to save the day. Even at the odd moment, the screenplay takes a dip that doesn't last for very long, and the thrills, even if they are simple ones, they resume again. It hardly gives you time to sit back and digest it before throwing more of it at you again. Some clever one-liners and well-crafted scenes ensure that the proceedings keep you in good cheer. Chris Pine is first-rate and seems to be having fun playing his character, but hopefully Dungeons and Dragons will not fall into the trap of a sequel churning machine. I'm going to go with 3.5 out of 5 stars for Dungeons and Dragons. Well, that's what I thought of the films that were released this week. Do let us know what you think. Do write into us. Our address is features@prudentmedia.in. And I'll be back with you next week with more movie reviews. Till then, it's goodbye from me.